Well, good Thursday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. It is Thirsty Thursday, guys, which means it is already week number 11 in the NFL. We'll be watching the Green Bay Packers tonight playing and seeing, are the Green Bay Packers actually getting back on track and actually getting hot at the right time, much like Tampa Bay, or was it just the Cowboys just suck and shouldn't have lost to a bad team? Well, we can go ahead and watch this and see, because right now it seems like the Cowboys are headed for a dogfight in their division and the rest of the way, because all of a sudden the NFC least is doing some great things, as the Eagles have finally lost their first game and are getting kind of nicked up and now are facing some adversity. You see the Washington Commanders all of a sudden at 500 playing the Texans with a chance to get to 6-5. All of a sudden you start looking at this and saying it is conceivable that everybody in the NFC East could make the playoffs. Not likely, depending on what the 49ers do, but there is a chance, and it's crazy. So I actually overslept today. I've been working down the country, and by the time I got home last night and everything else, it was just so good to be sleeping in my own bed and just kind of recovering. It's just been just so much that I've had to do. It just seems like from the time we went down to Texas to Stuart Morrison's house through getting to season and everything else, it just seems like it's been constantly going and going and going. And I can't believe that we're beyond the midway point of the season. And so I just overslept. And then, of course, I was laying in bed just with my wife, just talking and everything else, just spending some quality time with her and things. So I get down here and I started to do my morning video here, and I have multitudes of, I've got 4 screens that are on here in front of me that I'm looking at, and I have basically a mirror image of this one, which is the videos I'm going to play and so on here. And I happen to notice on Twitter, which hasn't imploded completely yet, it's kind of getting kind of crazy and all that, but Dak Prescott was trending. I was on the road, so I didn't see all of the conversation and things that went on with it. And it's kind of crazy in some regards when we go through what we do with Dak Prescott. Now I'm trying to forgive me. I want to play this clip here because this is kind of interesting, because this is what we always get. Because, see, there's a love-hate relationship. This has basically kicked my morning video to the curve. But listen to this.
And there are quite a few ridiculously overpaid quarterbacks that we don't give the same kind of hell to the way that we give Dak Prescott. I have a list very handy because I thought we might go here. So Aaron Rodgers makes $50 million a year, okay, earned, and we have given him plenty of slack for how he's played this year, earning that contract. He's also a back-to-back MVP, so I feel like we can hold him to that standard, and a Super Bowl champ, first ballot Hall of Famer. Russell Wilson, $49 million. Kyler Murray, $46 million. Deshaun Watson hasn't played a game in 2 years, $46 million. Patrick Mahomes, $45 million. Josh Allen, $43. Derek Carr, $40 million. Dak Prescott, $40 million. Matt Stafford, $40 million. You know who's making $35 million, who we do not put in this category or give all this? Kirk, thank you. $35 million. We're not doing segments about whether Kirk Cousins can win a Super Bowl.
That's a lot of names.
That's a lot of guys
that haven't
won Super Bowls.
Very similar accomplishments to Dak, as a matter of fact.
Some of these haven't even won playoff games. And
playoffs?
We put them above Dak Prescott and hold Dak as talent, and then hold Dak to a higher standard than them. So my argument with Dak is the reason that we put Dak into these conversations and talk about the money, first of all, it doesn't matter anymore. Dak Prescott makes what a starting quarterback in this league makes. Clearly, I just listed the names. He makes what quarterbacks make. He's not making the most. He's not making the least. He makes what a starting quarterback makes, which, by the way, he earned because he wasn't making any money on that 4th-round contract for years when he was putting up big numbers.
Go ahead,
part
Joe.
of contracts are what you do and what you will do.
Ooh.
A lot of Dak's contract is what he did, right? What you did and what you will do, and a lot of his contract is what he did. So the reason that we talk about Dak Prescott like this is because he's got that jersey on and the star on his helmet. Because if we don't give any of these guys, for the most part, the same type of pressure or expectations, especially as a fourth-round draft pick, that we do Dak Prescott.
Can't argue with that. Because you know what? Shout out to my buddy, Vosh Lombardi. And if you guys ever meet Vosh Lombardi and you want to make an impression on Vosh Lombardi, have yourself some mambo sauce. Vosh Lombardi is the only person that I have ever seen use so much mambo sauce that you think he was making a cocktail, that he was literally drinking it. He loves some mambo sauce. So if you plan on seeing him, man, you want to get his attention, mambo sauce is the way. But he tweeted out this clip this morning of Josh Allen. Because, see, Cowboy fans, you see the hate for Dak Prescott. You see the hate. Dak Prescott sucks. Dak Prescott lost us the game. We can't win shit with Dak Prescott. And they killed him. Like, he was the reason we lost this game. And they're going on him and everything else. But Vosh tweeted this clip out there, and it's funny because we have the Buffalo Bills, who everybody said was the best team in football, who've now lost 2 games in their division to the Jets, the Miami Dolphins, and lost to the Vikings. If you want to see what a quarterback losing a game is, if you want to see what losing a game is from the quarterback, this is it right here. Take a look at Josh Allen. Take a look at this play. Here we are, late in the game. Late in the game, Josh Allen, bad throw. What a stupid throw. Stupid throw. Stupid throw. That, my friends, cost them the game. Look at that. Bad throw. Bad throw. Into double coverage. That, you look at that and say, okay, that was an overtime. That was an overtime play. Ain't nobody saying anything about Josh Allen. They got the same record as the Cowboys, 6-3. Same record as the Cowboys, 6-3. It's time to let go of this whole thing of Dak Prescott is overpaid. Like Joy just said. He's getting paid basically what a starting quarterback gets paid. And stop all this hate, because like Vosh says, they would never let Dak Prescott get away with this in overtime. It's the truth. Now, if you want to look at things, let's be real here, because this is the same stuff that we got throughout the Romo years and everything else, that Romo sucks. Romo's a good enough quarterback if he was like on the Matthew Stafford plan, that he went to a team that was built as well as Dak Prescott, they win the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, our Achilles heel from last year against the 49ers is still there with us. And part of this is the defensive design. Because the Cowboys like fast and physical guys that get upfield and get after the quarterback. There's a give and take. You can't have everything. You can't have fast physical guys that get upfield and also are great at run stopping. It's 2 different philosophies. And so when you have a defense that's predicated on getting to the block in 2.2 seconds, everything is upfield right now, and you're going to have a harder time chasing down the run. Now, you need bigger guys that are physical in the middle that can hold up better, and you're going to have to kind of scheme this. But you start looking at this. Right now, we're giving up 4.8 yards per rush, 26. Our one-stop win rate, 30th at 28%. Giving up rushes of 10-plus yards, 40. 27th in the league. Guys, we can't do this. Can't do it. Can't do it. And as good as the defense is, we're going to have to get this under control. Or the other thing is we're just going to need to score a lot of points and make teams one-dimensional. We're going to need to get out to leads early, quickly, and make teams have to pass the football to catch up. And maybe that's what we're going to have to start looking at, that we're going to have to go ahead and say, offense, you're going to need to score 30-plus points a game and make teams have to chase you. Now, I do believe that one of the things we can do, though, too, because we had that lead, was we didn't control the clock. And in ways when we used to say we have to protect the defense by keeping the other teams off the field, running the football will do that for us as well. We got away from running the football, even though we were very, very successful in the game. We must control the clock to help our defense. So this week, knowing that literally week 12 starts for us next Thursday, a week away, the Cowboys aren't going to be doing a lot of physical practices. Yesterday was a walkthrough. This will be probably the most taxing practice that they have. Friday will be a recovery day. Saturday will be a travel day. Sunday will be a game. And then we're getting back on a short week to take on the Giants. The NFL did not do the Cowboys any favors by having us have 2 road games and then having a Thanksgiving game. This is going to be the tough stretch for the Cowboys. After this stretch where they get a little bit of chance to catch their breath, the schedule, you start looking at it and saying you got teams like the Texans, the Colts, and things like that. The worst games that are left are the games that are in our division. So much for thinking that the Cowboys, have this weak-ass division and are automatically going to win those games, and that everything outside the division is going to be hell. It's kind of reversed this year. But I want to finish this off this morning with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson talking about his book on Good Morning Football. Jimmy Johnson, wow. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry, one of the excerpts I heard a couple of days ago, I think on Tuesday, they were talking about how Jimmy had full autonomy of the coaches, the players, player acquisitions, and everything else for the Cowboys. Jerry Jones was the general manager. General manager basically in name when it came to the football operations on the field. And then he talked to some other GMs and found out what other GMs' job description was. And that's when Jerry all of a sudden realized, oh, if I'm the GM, I'm supposed to be doing those things that Jimmy Johnson is doing. And that was the beginning of the end of what was a great formula for the Cowboys, where Jerry Jones was making sure that the franchise stopped losing $2 million a month, stopped the hemorrhaging, and started making them a viable franchise. And Jimmy Johnson focused in on player acquisitions and coaches and getting the team to be the winner, to change the product on the field. That was the perfect marriage that they had until Jimmy messed it up. But here's the thing that's interesting on listening to this, to Jimmy talking about his book, where he apologizes, and he says this book is an apology to his family for all the time that he spent with football. Let's listen to it.
If we are smiling and have a certain buzz right now, it's because we are now joined by not only a Hall of Fame head coach of college game, he also led the Dallas Cowboys and was a Hall of Fame coach of the NFL. He's got Super Bowl titles, and he's quite frankly one of my favorite people in the world. Let's welcome him with no further ado, Mr. Jimmy Johnson!
Hey! All right.
Good to be here, Peter.
Love having you on, Coach, and I got to start with this. First of all, swagger, Super Bowl,
let's go,
brass balls and footballs, written by you and Dave Hyde. Just came out on Tuesday. You get back from Qatar. You're fresh off a flight from Doha, and now we're selling books. Tell us about this book and why now? Why now are you writing a book about what it means to be a championship head coach?
Well, Peter, my attorney, Nick Kristen, said, you've got so many people, coming down to the Keys. Jason, you'll know this. Bill Belichick comes down about every year or so. But, coaches and general managers and owners, not even just football people. I've had basketball people and baseball people come down. want to talk about evaluating talent, building a team, et cetera. He said, you need to write a book. And so I got into it about evaluating talent and building a team. And then we got into some other stories. And the more I got into the book, the more it was kind of an apology to my family, and especially my two sons, that I really wasn't around them a lot, growing up, when they were growing up, because I was trying to win a championship. I felt like I had to outwork my opponent and outwork the other coaches. And so this is a little bit of an apology to my two sons and my family.
Well, Jimmy, you've always had that thoughtful side to you as a broadcaster, certainly as a coach, and I know that will be in the book. It's a really cool thing that is coming out this year as it pertains to the football, because we're seeing this massive resurgence from the NFC East. And I know a lot of the stuff that's going to be in here, too, on the football side is, take us back, Coach, to the late 80s, early 90s. The head coaches are yourself, Bill Parcells, Joe Gibbs, Buddy Ryan. And then on the field, you got Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, and Aikman, and Troy, and Mike, and Emmett, and everybody. It was amazing. What was it like competing in that division during that era of superstars and super personalities?
Seems like it's come back.
Well, the NFC East, with the exception of the Cowboys, were really, really good. People don't realize Tom Landry was one of the greatest coaches of all time. But when we went to the Cowboys, he had 3 straight losing seasons, and he was 3-13, his worst team in the league. So he really didn't have a whole lot of talent. Joe Gibbs had actually worked for me when I was with the Arkansas Razorbacks, so I knew Joe. And then, of course, Bill Parcells, we had visited a time or two before I got into pro football. And then Buddy Ryan, he said, hey, Jimmy's going to find out there's no East Carolinas in pro football. And I said, hey, wait, we're East Carolina.
We're East Carolina, the Pirates.
But later on, Buddy and I became friends. And I said, Buddy, the only thing that I'm thinking about is you never, ever won a playoff game. It seems like to me I've got a couple of Super Bowl rings, so maybe I came out on top.
My man.
Oh my gosh, 2 questions in, Coach, and I just want to listen to you tell these stories all day long. But listen, if we go to the back of the book and there's another chapter that you want to write, let's talk about today's Cowboys and your relationship with them. They're coming off a really tough loss to Aaron Rodgers, the Packers. They're firmly in the playoff mix, though, talking about the NFC, which consumes our days on this show. The defense has been great. But Dak Prescott, you know what it takes to take a team all the way. Does this offense have what it takes to make a Super Bowl run this year?
Jamie, I think they do. I said a week or so ago, I thought this was the best Dallas team that I've seen in a long time. Now, I was disappointed and surprised that they weren't able to hold on to the lead against the Packers the other night. The 2 interceptions there early by Dak, really hurt them. CeeDee Lamb should have broken front of the safety, or else that wouldn't have been an interception. But anyway, I still think they have the talent to do it. I think they've got maybe one of the more impactful players in the entire league with Micah Parsons, who, again, didn't play his best the other night. They kind of neutralized him. But, they've got an outstanding defense. They've got a lot of talent on offense. And in the NFC, really, there's 4 or 5 teams that you can throw a dart. Any one of those 4 or 5 teams could be in the Super Bowl, because I don't think the NFC is as strong this year. There's no great teams. There's 4 or 5 good teams, but not great teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Let's flip to the other side of that Cowboys loss, and the Green Bay Packers were able to come out on top and a massive win. And now they have a quick turnaround. Thursday Night Football taking on the Tennessee Titans. And Aaron Rodgers, he said it, and we all know it, like you just said. The NFC is wide open. There's 4 or 5 teams that can really make a run. Do you believe, though, the Packers can build off that win this past week and find their way into the playoffs?
Jason, I think they'll be better, but I think they're in too big a hole right now. I don't know that they can go on a run to make it back in the playoffs, but they will be a better team than what they've shown the last month or so. Anytime you've got Rodgers, you've got a shot. And then, Watson will be better. He made some catches the other night, but he's also had a bunch of drops. Again, I think they're a good football team. I think they're maybe a notch below some of the others. And like I said, they're in too big a hole right now to really make an impact.
Wow.
I hear you, and that's the thing about Jimmy. Jimmy's still razor sharp. He's got football takes, and all the stuff is in the book. Jimmy, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, the son of a Notre Dame alumnus, and I lived and breathed Notre Dame football, including in the late 80s, mid-80s. And I looked at these guys down from Florida with the U on their helmets as just this evil empire, and you were the emperor. You were a great figure in college football. When you look back on your days as the head coach of Miami and all the incredible players and coaches you worked with, what comes to mind, and what can we read about it in the book?
Kyle, we had so many great players. When I went to Dallas, I thought I was a great football coach. And then when I saw the talent in Dallas, how far down it was like, whoa. I realized I won all those games at Miami because we had better players than everybody else.
That's right.
I'll give you a quick story. I was in
okay.
I was at the Tyson Spinks fight in Atlantic City. And I was going up the escalator, and Bill Laimbeer was going down the escalator. And he says, you. I said, hey, I don't coach at Miami anymore. He said, I'm not hollering at Miami. It's you. You're the devil. So Notre Dame people didn't like me. The convicts versus the Catholics.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my Catholic convicts. Yeah, that's right.
I got to wrap with this, because when we all went into our home cams in the pandemic and all this thing, behind you was always this picture of you and Jay-Z together. And I was always like, Jimmy, there's got to be a story. I know you have a long relationship with someone named William Wesley, also known as Worldwide Wes, as well as Jay-Z. Take us through the relationship with you, Worldwide Wes, and Jay-Z, and the friendship that has emerged.
Well, Worldwide Wes first came up to me. He was a 19-year-old kid selling shoes in Pennsauken, New Jersey. And he helped me recruit a player that went to the Giants, Greg Mark. And he said, if I help you recruit him, he said, I want to get a sideline pass. So I put him on my sideline. And we built up a great relationship. I talked to him last week. He said, Coach, thanks for everything you've done in my career. He said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. In fact, Worldwide Wes and Leon Rose drove my Corvette from the NFC Championship game in Dallas to Atlanta before the Super Bowl. But I've had a great relationship with him. He's introduced me to a whole bunch of folks, and he's one of the most powerful guys in basketball right now.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z, what do we got? Jay-Z, I need to hear the Jay-Z.
Oh, yeah, Jay-Z came down for the Miami-Florida State game, and so Jay-Z and Wes and I stood on the sidelines, and we had us a good time rooting on the Hurricanes. And those Hurricanes, they got to get out of the hole right now. They need to get back winning.
There you go.
Yes,
yeah, they got 99 problems, huh, Peter?
Yes, they do. But Jimmy Johnson's not one.
Oh, my goodness.
Definitely. I can't wait to get that book, and I will definitely read it. All right, good people. So it's again, Thirsty Thursday. We'll be live streaming the game tonight as well. We'll be hanging here. At some point, I got to get with Brother Roz, because we need to do You're an Idiot and a Scammer segment when he has some time, because I've got some things I need him to prove right or wrong for me. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, but I got some work I got to go do. So you know how we roll.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is